Yesterday, 20th of February, the Supreme Court of United States of America struck down Trump's reciprocal tariff. They struck it down saying that it is illegal. Let's talk about how this entire decision happened. If it was such a open knowledge, it was such a available knowledge all over the country, why didn't India, why didn't our diplomacy, why didn't our people who are sitting there in United States trying to work out this deal know that possibly this will fall flat in the Supreme Court? China is going to really benefit out of it. We walked out of the deal with Russia, or we promised that we will curtail to United States of America. So our purchase went down and China took that advantage. China bought all the oil from Russia. It is not that easy. You're dealing with Trump. Do you know what will happen if India backs out? You see, Trump is already favoring Pakistan. You saw that he calls up Pakistan Prime Minister, asks him to stand up, and you saw that. He's already favoring Pakistan. You know what he can do? And that's well within his right as the President of the United States. Believe me, you. So it is not going to be that easy for India to just say, okay, ठीक है, नहीं है ना, we are going back. ऐसा नहीं होता है. Namaskar. Welcome to another episode of Editorial. Yesterday, 20th of February, the Supreme Court of United States of America struck down Trump's reciprocal tariff. They struck it down saying that it is illegal. Trump obviously was very upset. But before we get into Trump and India, what are the implications to India, let's talk about how this entire decision happened. Now, it was a 9-member bench that took this decision, and this 9-member bench was actually divided. It was not a unanimous decision. It was a 6-3 ratio where 6 judges voted against reciprocal tariff and called it illegal, and 3 judges were for reciprocal tariff. What you see on your screens are the 9 judges who gave this verdict, and the bench was not unanimous. Interestingly, out of this 9 judges, 6 were actually appointed by the Republicans. So one should actually appreciate American justice system. Out of the 6 that were appointed by the Republicans, 3 voted against Trump. 3 voted against Trump. Now this is very, very interesting. So that's the first part of the story, that 6 versus 3 ratio, and Trump, they said that, listen, reciprocal tariff is illegal. Now, Trump was not very happy. Trump was definitely not very happy with this. This is what Trump had to say. Just here.
The Supreme Court's ruling on tariffs is deeply disappointing, and I'm ashamed of certain members of the court, absolutely ashamed, for not having the courage to do what's right for our country.
What happens to the $76 billion which has already been charged as tariffs? वो पैसा तो आ गया. Now, what are you going to do? How are you going to give those money back? Because Trump has already used them. Farmers, this, welfare, Trump has used that money. How is America going to give back that money? Now, that is something that is going to haunt America, by the way. And that's something that's going to haunt Trump. And that is why Trump said this. Just hear this out.
Peter, go ahead.
Thank you, President Trump. So, since Liberation Day, there's about $175 billion in tariff revenue that is now in limbo. Do you have to refund $175 billion?
Think of it, Peter. Very fair question. They take months and months to write an opinion, and they don't even discuss that point. We've taken in hundreds of billions of dollars, not millions, hundreds of billions of dollars. And so I said, well, what happens to all the money that we took in? It wasn't discussed. Wouldn't you think they would have put one sentence in there saying that keep the money or don't keep the money, right? I guess it has to get litigated for the next 2 years. So they write this terrible, defective decision, totally defective.
कि भाई, he said, यार, you told वापस दो, लेकिन कैसा? Where are we going to give the money? How are we going to give the money? And should we be giving the money now? Should we be giving the money later? All that is not mentioned, not spoken by the court. The court just said this is illegal. Trump has no right to charge reciprocal tariff.
But I am allowed to cut off any and all trade or business with that same country. In other words, I can destroy the trade. I can destroy the country. I'm even allowed to impose a foreign country destroying embargo. I can embargo I can do anything I want, but I can't charge $1. Because that's not what it says. And that's not the way it even reads. I can do anything I want to do to them, but I can't charge any money. So I'm allowed to destroy the country, but I can't charge them a little fee. I could give them a little 2-cent fee, but I cannot charge under any circumstances. I cannot charge them anything.
Now let's come to Trump. You see, this President Trump has completely changed the dynamics of geopolitics. He has changed the dynamics of governance itself. Trump is a very strange president. They call it Trumpnomics or whatever. They call it Trumpology and lot of names given to all of what he does. But Trump is always acted a very strange president. The point is, most of the decisions he took were based on his whims and fancies. So he used this concept of tariff to arm twist other countries. He used this concept of tariff to ensure that he reigns over other countries. Other country listens to him. He becomes a global king. That is what he used this tariff for. Of course, to ensure that he maintains that the right to use tariff against other countries, he started saying that, "Bhai, maine war rukwa di. Maine war rukwa di. I stopped war." He says it 100 times. He was the one who stopped India-Pakistan war. Otherwise, Pakistan would have used dangerous, possibly nuclear missiles. This is what he meant. Hear this out. This is very funny, actually. Here, see this.
Pakistan and India, that was a big one. And just, I think you should actually stand. Come, please, stand just for a second. Pakistan and India, thank you very much. And I spoke to Prime Minister Modi. He's excited. He's watching us right now.
So you had Sabah Sharif, the Prime Minister of Pakistan, standing and thanking him and all that. So all that happened. Trump, his entire politics, his entire actions, his entire decisions are very strange. So, like I said, he used tariff as a weapon and he showcased wars that he claimed to have stopped as the reason why he is using it as weapon. So, he justified using this entire tariff business as weapon. So, this is what happened. This also happened. End of the day, for Trump, it was, like I told you, one weapon that he used to control the world. This is as far as Trump is concerned. Now let's talk about India and a couple of things we should understand about India. You see, a lot of experts in the world were constantly maintaining the fact that Supreme Court may strike down this reciprocal tariff business. A lot of people said that, listen, it is not in the Constitution. Trump doesn't have the right to leeway. Like he himself said, he doesn't have the right to even impose $1 on another country. He doesn't have the right. So it's bound to be struck down. If it was such a open knowledge, it was such a available knowledge all over the country, why didn't we? Why didn't India? Why didn't our diplomacy? Why didn't our people who are sitting there in the United States trying to work out this deal know that possibly this will fall flat in the Supreme Court? India knows that their Supreme Court is very, very powerful. India knows that their Supreme Court is an independent organization. India knows that their Supreme Court has spine. India knows that. India knows that. But why didn't we kind of wait for that judgment? Why didn't we push this trade deal for some more time? Now, I'll tell you what has happened. India seems to have agreed to most of the things that Trump and Trump administration announced. India initially said, yes, no, we are discussing its framework and all that. But India seems to have agreed to a lot of American conditions, especially the intention to import 500 billion worth of American products in the next 5 years. The zero tariff access to several American goods in India. All this India agreed to, which means it's sort of very lopsided trade deal. A lot of people went out of their way to justify and all that, but to a very major extent, it was a one-sided trade deal. It was a definite trade deal where America benefited more than us. Why did we agree to that? Couldn't we wait? I mean, isn't that what diplomats do? Isn't that what leaders do when they go and negotiate a deal for India? If journalists and commentators knew that the tariff thing will fall flat, why didn't we wait till the Supreme Court gave judgment? Number one. Number two, very interestingly, you see, we did that only for the tariff. At least that is what it looks like. We did that only for tariff, so that 50%, that is 25% tariff and 25% what that they had imposed, that they reduced, and they got it not drastically down to what it was, that is 0 to 3%, that we 3.5% that we used to pay. They got it down to just 18%, which is from 25% to 18%, which is 7% reduction. For this 7%, we almost agreed to everything what they said, including, very important, including curtailing to purchase Russian oil. Including curtailing to purchase Russian oil. Now, I'll give you another interesting story. Another interesting story is China made a new record. China lapped up discounted Russian oil as India reduced purchase. They lapped it up. And China is going to make a lot of profits out of it. China is going to really benefit out of that. We walked out of the deal with Russia, or we promised that we will curtail to United States of America. So our purchase went down and China took that advantage. China bought all the oil from Russia. Now look at it. End of the day, China today will also have to pay the same 10% which India is paying. China was given 38% tariff. China didn't budge. China said tariff le lo, but we will purchase oil from where we want. We will not compromise on our trade. China said, we will not compromise on our trade. We will not compromise on our conditions. We will not compromise on our benefits, our negotiations. We will not compromise. China will not compromise. You want to put your tariff, you put your tariff. They waited. Advantage today, they'll have to only pay 10%. They may not have to pay 38% because the Supreme Court shot it down. Advantage to them, they still continue to buy Russian oil at a throwaway price. They still do exactly what they are doing. They did not budge. And India refused Russian oil, which we would have otherwise got at a very cheap price. Not only we bought it cheaper, we also distributed it, we also sold it out to other countries. So that stopped. And the fact is, we almost agreed to everything. Like Trump said here, this is what Trump said.
Nothing changes where they'll be paying tariffs, and we will not be paying tariffs. Our deal with India is they pay tariffs. This is a reversal from what it used to be, as you know.
Trump says that, while they pay 18%, we pay 0%. Trump says that. So this is what they expected from us. It was a one-sided deal. We, the country that claims that, we don't budge, we stood our ground and all that, we compromised. Others didn't. So this is the point that I was trying to make. Why so much haste? Why was there no foresight? Why was there no vision? When you go to negotiate, don't you see the market? Don't you strategize how you negotiate, or you just go there with a bag and say, chalo, kya? Like, you have a negotiation that happens in Bendi Bazaar in Mumbai. Is that how trade negotiations happen in India? That's one point. Point number one. Point number two is, like I told you, Trump has two options now. First option, he has already exercised. What he has done is, he has invoked Section 122 of the Trade Act 1974, and he has put a blanket tariff of 10% on all international trade. 10% blanket tariff. This is well within his rights. This is the only thing that is in his rights. If now he has to impose the tariff again, he has to either prove that there is a national emergency and therefore he is imposing that particular tariff, or he has to get approval from the Congress, which that buy-in from the Congress he will not get. Chances are very less that he would get that buy-in from the Congress. And the fact remains that proving that each country there's an emergency, which is kind of, it may be possible in theory, but practically it is not possible. Now this is the option that is left with Trump. This is where Trump stands. So all in all, the point is like this. The Supreme Court struck down the tariff. India already are in advanced stages. We've worked out a framework. I don't know whether the trade deal is physically signed or not, which is not very clear. But we are almost technically agreed to the trade deal. So Trump says that, the trade deal is signed, nothing is going to change. India, we have already committed. So now the tariff, the Supreme Court has struck down, but we will have to stand by what we committed. And in the process, we lost a lot of opportunities to trade with Russia, a fantastic relationship with Russia, and possibly also the fact that we have opened our markets. We have committed to buy 500 billion or we have shown our intent to buy 500 billion of American goods in the next 5 years. And definitely the advantage is United States. Advantage is United States as of today. And for those who believe that, India can back out now and India should back out now, or India can say, India can back out of the deal and say, no, we are not going to handle it since now there is no tariff and all that. It's not that easy. It is not that easy. You're dealing with Trump. Do you know what will happen if India backs out? You see, Trump is already favoring Pakistan. You saw that, he calls up Pakistan Prime Minister, asks him to stand up and, you saw that. He's already favoring Pakistan. You know what he can do? And that's well within his right as the President of the United States, believe me you. So it is not going to be that easy for India to just say, okay, theek hai, nahi hai na, we are going back. Aisa nahi hota hai. Had we started negotiating that way, had we maintained our stand, it would have been a different issue. It's like somebody said, we stand by our grounds and all. Had we stood by our grounds, then possibly things would have been different today. Today we are given into American demands. Our trade deal is quite, in tune with American demands. So, the chances are that now going back may be difficult to the best of my understanding. And if we go back, it will not be very good for us. It will not be very good for us. Trump won't be kind. So this is the reality. This is the point I wanted to make today. And till I see you next time, that's tomorrow at 10. Namaskar.